Light. Hello and welcome to both the in-person and virtual attendees. My name is Victoria Baylor. I'm a leadership mindset coach and organizational development consultant for my self-named company. Before we start the session, we're going to have a few friendly reminders. First is Scott is definitely taking questions during the session, so if you have those, he'll definitely tell you how to handle those. Session materials will be made available. He said you can drop your business cards in one of the buckets on each side of the chairs, the Superman or the Batman bucket. And for those watching virtually, you can just drop your email address and he will be so kind to send those to you. And don't forget afterwards to complete the survey in the app or the virtual platform, as we value your feedback. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Scott Warwick, who's the president of Scott Warwick Consulting and Employment Law Services, for the session titled today, Healing the Human Brain and Tolerance. For additional information, of course, please check the app. Now, please join me and give a warm welcome to Scott.
All right, good morning. All right, small but mighty group. All right, I'll tell you, it's really something. 7:30 in the morning is fun, isn't it? Okay, and then we're competing with fried chicken and biscuits. I mean, okay, well, I'll tell you, I love doing this program, and let me just describe, my life has been a whole process of tragedies and disappointments, one right after the other, okay? But I'll tell you, I am very inspired. Have anybody here ever read the book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl? Viktor Frankl was a psychologist, a Jewish psychologist, who was, or psychiatrist, I believe, was put in the Nazi concentration camps and survived. And when he was done, when he was released, they asked him, how did you survive all those years in the concentration camp? And this is telling. He said, I always thought there was meaning in what was happening to me. There was a reason for it. Because one day, I'm going to take my message and people are going to hear it. So that gave me hope. And I'll tell you, does that sound nice? Does it sound inspiring? That is neuroscience, when you believe that you can do something. How many people have ever worked with good people and the whole day just shoots by? Just shoots by, and you work hard, but you're energized. You have filled your body with stress chemicals. And that's what I want for you. It is amazing. Every bad thing that happens to you can help somebody else. How many people would love to come back? And I'm not speaking figuratively, I mean literally. You'd love to go back to your workplace and save lives. I will tell you right now, this happens to me everywhere I go because we are still in the dark ages. We're in the 1500s. Of mental health. And I don't even like to use the term mental health, brain health. And what I learned about neuroscience, my psychiatrist didn't tell me. My son, Michael, was born in 1993 with Asperger's autism. Now freeze right there. Who knows somebody with autism? It's epidemic. Epidemic. You know another epidemic? 30% of everybody you know has post-traumatic stress disorder. 70 to 80% of all of your employees, if they've got prescription drug coverage, they're on psychiatric medications. It's epidemic. And it's not mental health, it's your brain. You damage your brain, you will have depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. And this is going to become very clear to you. We were told my son would probably never go to college, might need a special high school. Well, we started working on him, therapies, all kinds of stuff, took him to the Amen clinics in 2006. His brain was a mess, an absolute mess. So we started really intensifying a lot of therapies, water, all kinds of stuff. We took him back in 2008 for a follow-up scan. His brain was about 15% rewired. You grow 100,000 new brain cells in your brain every month. And they can grow 10 to 100 connections, synapses. Think about that. Millions of connections every year. You can rewire your brain from this. In 2008, my wife also told me, oh, you're getting a scan. while we're there, you're getting a scan. I said, no, I don't need a scan. I'm okay. We're here for Michael. She said, oh no, you're nuts. You're nuts. You're getting a scan. Okay, now how many people in here, you know somebody who's nuts and they don't know it? They don't know it. I've sent over 40 people, executives, to go get scanned, okay? And guess what? They all came back red hot like me. And I can tell you, when you can see the damage in your brain right away, you know, oh my God, it is me. Oh my gosh. So Michael and I got on our horses, went back for our follow-up scans in 2020. His brain is about 75% rewired. Mine's 85% rewired and cured. Michael went on to graduate from The Ohio State University with honors, went on to Roosevelt University in Chicago, graduated with his master's degree with a 3.91, and is now preparing to go get his doctorate to work with kids with autism. Okay, yeah, he did a phenomenal job, okay? So guess what? I'm going to bring you the gospel of brain health. Now, freeze right there. We got a lot of stuff to cover today. I want to change your life. I get excited. If one person wants to hear this message, I'm there. And I'm going to send you a bunch of stuff. I'm going to send you the slides. People try to take pictures of my slides. I'm fine with that. I'm flattered that you would want the slide. It's not going to come out too well. I'm going to send these to you. I want you to take the message of brain health back. And I'm also going to send you links to videos. So you can just sit down, make your kids watch them. Okay? So can somebody pick up my Batman box up here? Right up here? And there's a Superman box over there. Can somebody pick up that one over there? Let's pass those around. There we go. Just hear the clank. Everybody gets an underdog button. You're going to see a lot of underdogs today. I don't like to talk about diversity. I don't like to talk about things that maybe turn some folks off, because some people just hear it and they don't know what they're talking about and they get upset. I want to create safe environments. Okay, so first of all, I do free lunch and learns. This is a gospel for me. I want people to start repairing their brains, okay? Have you noticed how many mass shootings we've got in the United States now? You know, in 2018, we had 0.9 shootings, mass shootings in America every day. We're up to 2 now. I'll tell you, my lunch and learns are all about diversity, tolerance, brain health. And that's what we're going to do today. Now, who would like to win something? I don't care what it is, right? It's another muffin, right? It's more fried chicken and biscuits. That's what we're passing out today. Don't worry, you'll get out of here in time to grab what's left. You speak up today. I'm going to ask questions. You speak up, you win a pin. All right, and those are some of the fun pins. It's too peoply outside. That's a popular one. The guy with the head up the butt, that one is a big winner. I'll tell you like that. I designed that one. That is actually from the T-shirt that I wore to law school for every final in law school, except for my first one. Because my first one, I listened to my professors, and how many people knew lawyers are liars? Just liars. Lied through their teeth, and I never listened to my professors after the first semester, and you kind of see the smart aleck side coming in? Okay, that's me. All right, so hey, we got a lot of fun stuff. The Monty Python pin, all these things tie in. Now, do I look like your typical diversity tolerance trainer? Oh, come on, I'm a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant straight male. Yeah, I didn't think there was one, yeah. Yeah, right from Ohio, right here, okay? It's kind of funny because I'll go to different conferences and first of all, when I'm in the minority role, I don't care. You know why? How many people in here realize that we're all related? Did you get that? How many Christians, Jews, or Muslims do we have here? Well, you got to fit in one of those for the most part. I mean, 75% of Americans fit in there, right? Guess what? You believe in the Old Testament, so you believe in Adam and Eve, right? So we're all related. We all come from Adam and Eve. Now, let me ask you, is that just a Bible myth? Could really 7.4 billion people come from one woman? That's one tired woman. That is a lot of people. Yes. Human Genome Project proves we all are related. We're all related. So guess what? When I see something happening to George Floyd, that's my cousin. You get that? See, we got to stop thinking about race and religion and all that. We got to start thinking of humans, because that's what we all are. And if you think of people like that, things become so much clearer. You realize race was not even a construct until the 1500s? Does anybody know why in the late 1500s we came up with the construct of race? 1619, slavery. You can't put your brother, your cousin into slavery, but I could put somebody else in there like we're not even related. It's all a fake out. All right, everybody with me? Okay, so I have been hearing this for 40 years. How do we get buy-in from white males? Now, let me ask you, if this was a conference for engineers, safety, accountants, how many of the attendees would be white males? Good portion. You win a pin. See, wasn't that easy? You just have to it's so easy. Okay. And if you elbow the other people out of the way, you get the good pins. Right? Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Why don't 76% of all Americans identify as being white? 36% of all Americans are white males. Why is it that at least 1/3 of everybody here isn't a white male? Because they don't see the link. And that's what we're here to do today. So we want to get buy-in. And I can tell you right now, I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem. And why is it? Look at 2009. One thing Shrm is the best at is data. And how many people have read Johnny Taylor's book, Reset? Oh, I don't read books. That sounds kind of pompous. Who likes to be read to? Who's lazy? Oh, man, I tell you, I got my earbuds paused. I got 2 sets of them because I love to have people read to me. You got to listen to this book. I am not kidding. Good to Great is, I think, the best book I ever read. This is probably second. It's that good. You know why? Because he doesn't pull any punches. Shrm drives data. And I love data because it shows what is really happening in the world. Now, back in 2009, almost 15 years ago, Rebecca Hastings went and reported that when the economy takes a downturn, D&I programs are among the first to go. Why? Well, DE&I is a nice thing to do when things are good, but when times are bad, we dump them. Does that make sense? Anybody can relate? That's what's happening across the country right now, isn't it? 15 years later. Shrm reports this year. When some companies need to find places to cut, guess where they're going? DE&I. And they're cutting them like crazy. Now, let me ask you. They're not cutting their safety programs, are they? They're not cutting their marketing programs. Actually, when times are tough, don't they increase their marketing budget? They're not cutting their customer. Why aren't they cutting those? Because those are seen as being important. Important. Well, let me tell you right now, how do you get buy-in? I want you to do what I do across the country. I mean, I've done 100,000 miles in the air this year. I get tired, and I'm lucky. I'm a towering 5'6". Those of you at home, you can relate, okay? Man, I fit right into a coach airline seat real easy, okay? I don't have any trouble, all right? How many people have heard, like, things from McKinsey or some of these? You can increase your market share by 30%. You can increase your profitability by 35% by having a more diverse workforce. You can increase your profitability by 15% if you hire more women. Who's heard those arguments? Yeah, you know what your people think? I don't care. I don't care, all right? And I just love this. Well, tell them how much money we're going to make, how good. They don't care. Your people don't care. What's the human animal care about? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? So I'm going to show you a very different approach, brain health. And I'm going to take you down the road of the gospel of brain health. This is your culture. I want your cultures to be, from now on, it's safe. It's safe to come to work here. So what's that mean? It's safe for your fingers and toes. Now, think about this. I do a lot of safety conferences, okay? Are we concerned about whether or not people keep their fingers and toes when they go to work? How many people here, you've got a safety program back at the ranch? You got, okay, everybody raise your hand, you win a pin. There you go. So you're up to 2 pins now, isn't that something? You're going to be covered in pins. You're not going to get through the metal detectors, you know, when you start going home. Okay, I'll tell you, do you know what the biggest threat is to your mental health? Now, I don't want to use the term mental health because we think that's some mystic thing. And I'll tell you, I don't go to mental health programs. I go, but I don't hear them talk about the brain. This is like talking about your foot hurts and not talking about why. This is like taking pain medication for your feet, but not fixing the blister. Okay, you know what the biggest threat is to your health? Number one threat to your health and number one threat to your brain, look at the person next to you. Okay, how many people have ever worked for a jackass? Everyone, yeah, there we go. Everybody raise your hand. A reward for having put up with that for years? You win a pin. Oh yeah, who's ever had a job Sunday night that, oh, your gut starts to churn over the thought of going into that hellhole? Who's ever had that? Oh, you win a pin. Oh, that's a reward. That is killing you. Okay, so what do we want? It's got to be safe. I want this stapled on everybody's liver. And I will tell you right now, how many people are having trouble recruiting, getting and attracting people? I'll tell you right now, Gen Zers, anybody under the age of 30, demands a safe workplace. And I'll tell you, there are 1.7 jobs in the country right now, 1.7 jobs for every unemployed person. You know what that means? That means eventually some of the companies that are here at this conference, they're not going to be here in 5 years. How many people you have a hard time getting seats at restaurants because they just don't have the staffing? That's what's coming. There are more jobs than there are people. Okay, so you got to create a safe environment. And I want to talk to you. You have to work in this environment, don't you? Okay, so is this the norm today? This what happens? And I'll tell you, I got this already. And I do not take sides in politics, but I will tell you right now, I got fights breaking out all over the country. How many people back at the ranch, you got folks who love Donald Trump. And they're wearing their Trump buttons. Hey, I'm from Ohio, man. And I will tell you right now, if he runs again, he's going to carry Ohio. Ain't no doubt about that. How many people, you got some folks back at the ranch, they love Biden. Starting to wear those Biden buttons and everything. Do you have a right to your opinion? Yes. How many people said yes? Because you all win pins. There you go. See, isn't this easy? This is the easiest test you'll ever take in your life. Okay? Now, let me tell you, I get this right from Shrm, and I love it. Diversity of ideas. That's what I call it. They call it cognitive diversity. Diversity of thought isn't predicated on gender, ethnicity, age, or disability. You see how I'm bringing everybody together? I want everybody to protect your brain. And why is work so dangerous for your brain? Where do you spend most of your waking hours? At work. And 75 to 80% of all Americans say they are miserable at work. They hate their job. And I'm not differentiating between race or anything else. You can't say anything without being attacked, right? And it's one of my favorite sayings. Hey, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. Do you have a right to have an opinion on abortion? Oh, and I tell you, anybody here from Ohio? Oh, no kidding. Where are you from? Cincinnati. Oh, Bengals. Hey, we're healthy, right? Oh, you don't play that? No. You Reds fan?
No, I used to be a Bears fan.
They let you live there in Cincinnati?
I came from Chicago.
Oh, Chicago. I love Chicago. Where are you from? Akron. Well, you both win more pins. Akron. Oh, my God. Actually, I just joined the Shrm chapter in Cincinnati. I'm so impressed with them. And Akron is one of my favorites up there. Oh, just wonderful, wonderful group up there. I'm going to be up at the Canton-Akron Safety Council in November.
Well, I moved to Fort Mill, South Carolina,
You're in South Carolina now? Well, it's not much of a commute, is it? I mean, a couple bus tickets and you're right there. So, okay, I'll tell you. And now think about this. Do you have a right to your opinion? It's okay to have a different opinion. I'm going to be tolerant, which means I'm not going to pick on you because you're different. It's okay. Now, here's the kicker. If you attack somebody because they disagree with you, okay, you're killing yourself. People have no idea the damage that they do to their brains every day. My job is to show you this is what's killing you. Karma is real, and it's cortisol and adrenaline. Now, how many people on a given day, you do the Red Foreman thing, okay? You sit back and you look at somebody and you say, dumbass. Dumbass, that's a dumbass over there. How many people you think that? Yeah, oh, never, yeah, right. Okay, you win 2 pins. That is really, because you're a liar. Yeah, huh? Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they train you in 3 years how to do that crap. Oh, I should have mentioned I'm an attorney, 27 years I've been practicing, but I've been in HR for 40 years. Lawyers get you out of trouble, okay? HR people keep you from getting in trouble. That's the importance. It's okay to have a different opinion, but you don't tell people you think they're stupid. Stupid people don't like it when you tell them they're stupid. They don't like it. It makes them mad. And they're thinking the same thing about you. Ergo, they head up the butt pin. It's okay to be different. Now, I always get this one, and I get this from safety folks a lot. It's like, well, that was an interesting session. It's good for me personally, but I don't see how this is going to help me do my job. And I'm like, okay, let's rewind a little bit. How many people think that you need to have a healthy brain when you come to work? Yeah. You understand your body is nothing but a transport system for your brain. Remember Stephen Hawking? His body was shot for years, but what a magnificent brain. Could you lose a hand at work and still function in today's world? Yeah. Could you lose a foot? Yeah. Could you lose your brain? You see, when I go to safety conferences, this is the most important session there. You know why? Because 80% of everybody is on psychiatric medications, which I applaud. They're trying to get help for themselves. But have you ever noticed that there are people out there who take psychiatric medications and they're working, and 4, 5, 6 years later, they need to up the dose? That's because they keep treating their brain like a soccer ball because they live like a regular American. And they've damaged their brain even more. So guess what? The meds don't work anymore. And I know that because I've seen the scans. You gotta take care of your brain. Now, why do I want to be a tolerant person? Why do I want diversity? Why do I want to appreciate differences? Because it's good, selfish for me. Now, let's talk about good old-fashioned fight or flight. This is the curse of the human. Now, freeze right there. We're all human, right? Is there a difference in the wiring between Jewish people and Hispanic people and black people and white people and Asians? No, because we're all related. It's all the exact same thing. And we've all got bodies and brains that are thousands of years old. And now, this usually gets me in trouble when I go to Kentucky. That's where the Ark is, and more power to them. A lot of creationists there. I'm agreeing with you. Don't send me death threats because I talk about evolution. I'm saying we have not evolved. We have not evolved. You've got the same brain that Fred Flintstone had when he was running from saber-toothed tigers. So guess what? You get upset. And you are going to release massive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol in your body. Like if your car won't start, is your gut going to churn? Oh, it's going to churn. But I got news for you. That cortisol and adrenaline is the absolute worst thing for your health. the absolute worst. And let me tip my hand for what's coming. 80% of all of your employees' trips to the doctor's office are actually distress related. Who in here is in charge of your health insurance back at the ranch? Oh my God, that's a big price tag, isn't it? Family coverage is running, I'm seeing $1,500 to the company, $1,500 to $2,500 a month. Is that about right?
Yeah, we cover our entire staff and their family.
Oh, so what's that running you a month per person?
So it varies, but on the high end, like 6,000, on the low end, 1,500.
1,500 a month is 18,000 a year. Whoa, dude, 6,000? Whoa, that must be a really nice plan. They must massage your feet or something, right? I mean, that's a good one. Family, yeah, you win a pin. Okay, that was a good. You win 2 pins because that's a lot of money. That's going to kill you. Now, stress is not stress is not stress. See why I want you to take this message back? Most people think, oh, that's just stress. No. When your stress, when your fear comes from another human being, you release 3 times the cortisol and adrenaline. It's 3 times worse. You're flooding your body with gasoline. Okay? This is why, and I'll tell you, the studies are amazing today. All right? If you work in an environment that is intolerant, it's going to damage your brain circuits right away. And I mean, well, over time, no. It's going to do it within a few weeks, if not days. Okay? Why? Because 20%, now think about this, do the math. 20% of all that cortisol and adrenaline is going to go right to your brain. Your brain only makes up 2% of your body weight, but it's going to get 20% of all that gasoline, and your brain feels like soft room temperature butter. You're going to burn it. Now, let's talk about the rest of your body. Do you have folks back at the ranch with heart disease, back problems? Oh, okay. Chronic distress. And this is from Harvard. So all my sources are very reputable sources, and I cross-check them. I will never tell you anything that I have not cross-checked, that I couldn't enter into evidence in court. And I will tell you right now, I will get challenged on everything. Okay, my book is like 270 pages. There were 470 citations. And my publisher said, nobody's going to want this. No, you got to cut. So I cut a bunch of them out. But man, I've got a storage unit full of boxes of research because I will get challenged on everything. Right from Harvard, 80% of all of your trips to the doctor's office are actually distress related. You handle the distress. And where does most of our distress come from? Each other. Understand, most people get a sick feeling in their gut going into work. And what's that sick feeling? You're going into fight or flight and you're releasing gasoline that's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. Now, smoking. Now, here's a fun one. Anybody here ever quit smoking? Oh, okay, good. Oh, another pin. Okay, why'd you quit? Wasn't healthy. Because you're looking out for your health, don't you? Okay. Anybody here still smoke? Yeah, honestly, is this like Ohio? Because we treat smokers like lepers in Ohio. Okay, I mean, I think 4 or 5 more years, we're just going to shoot them on sight, right? That's how we're going to do it, okay? Huh? That's right. Oh, you're down in Philip Morris country now, aren't you? Okay, a little nicer down there to smokers? I don't know. It's kind of taboo. I love the smokers. See, honestly, if you were a smoker, you'd win like 3 pins, okay? Because how many people know somebody who smokes and they're very polite? You go out, they're smoking and everything, they'll take a puff, they'll blow it away from you, won't they? Okay? Oh boy. If somebody lit up a cigarette in your workplace, would somebody speak up? Would some bystander speak up and say, hey, you can't do that? Yeah, because you're going to help them. You don't want them to get in trouble, okay? But think of the bullies. We let bullies walk through our workplaces and they spread their stink on everybody. They blow smoke right in your face. Like Pepe Le Pew. Boy, that cartoon did not age well, did it? Okay, so, whatever. You just Google him if you want to see what he's all about. Molests cats. It's not good, okay? Smoking will cut your life short, okay? It will give you a premature chance of death of 60%. That's not good, right? Premature death, 60% increased. Working with a bully doubles your chance of premature death. Yes, it's 40% worse. People have no idea. Why do you think mental health is in the toilet these days? Why do you think 30% of everybody you know has post-traumatic stress disorder, just like I did? Oh my gosh, no. Give me the smokers any day. Now, how does bullying damage your brain? Let's get down to the science of it. Because if people understand what they're doing to their brain, and understand 40 or 80% of everybody you're talking to is on psychiatric meds, which I applaud, but don't make it worse. Now, how many people, when you get stressed, when you get flustered and frustrated, you forget stuff? Yeah, everybody? Okay, you win a pin. There you go. Okay, raise your hand, you win a pin. Okay? Now, do you ever wonder why? It's because we've all experienced brain damage, and it's immediate. So, now look how recent this is. Okay, you see those two little red balls? Those are your amygdalas. Your amygdalas sit right behind your eyeballs above your ears. Okay? That's your fight or flight response. Now, we've always known we've had a flight or flight response, but guess what? We discovered where your amygdalas were, Dr. Joseph Ledoux, in 1992. Who graduated high school before 1992? Yeah, we had no idea where that function was. We just guessed, okay? And I love it because doctors would give you medication and you'd say, well, what's this medication do? What's it work on? I don't know. It's in there to calm you down. Well, it's like, I get upset. It's my fight or flight. Where's it at? I don't know. It's in there next to your soul. It's in there somewhere. I don't know. We had no idea. But we would still give you medications that altered the functions of your brain. Does that sound like a good idea? Oh, no. So we discovered what this did in 17 thousandths of a second. I want you to be thinking of Fred Flintstone. When Fred Flintstone was attacked by a saber-toothed tiger, he didn't have time to think. You got to move, and you got to run. Okay, you've got that same function in your brain, and those are your amygdalas. About the turn of the century is when we figured out exactly what they do. Okay, see what is attached to your fight or flight response? That's your hippocampus. That's your short-term memory. Now think about it. See those little dendrites? That is a neuron. That's a neuron. That's what we use to think. Those little buttery dendrites catch our thoughts. They spark, they catch our thoughts, and they feel like soft, room temperature butter. Your brain is the most fragile organ you've got. Okay, so if you had a little tub of soft butter at home and you poured gasoline on it, what's going to happen to that butter? Oh, that is why you forget stuff when you are under stress. You are flooding your body with cortisol and adrenaline, and if that distress is coming from a person, there are 3 times as much cortisol and adrenaline surging through your body. 20% is going to go to your brain. It's going to burn your short-term memory out immediately. That is brain damage. Let me clue you in here. You know the neurons in your brain have a life expectancy of 120 years? 120 years. People don't live to be 120. Bodies wear out. Elbows are mechanical, knees wear out, hips wear out. You should be on your deathbed at 100 years old and still have clarity of thought, just like Betty White. Who remembers Betty White? Oh, I loved Betty White. Just loved Betty White. Betty White, she was a tough nut, all 5 foot of her. Okay? But she didn't go from 0 to 60 with her temper. Oh, freeze right there. How many people know someone who goes from 0 to 60 with their temper all the time? That's brain damage. That's brain damage. How many people know somebody who is hypersensitive over everything? That's brain damage. That's actually a diagnosis. Oh, I'll tell you. We treat our brains like soccer balls, and so you know what? We damage them. We lose our short-term memory in what? Our 50s? Start to forget stuff, certainly by our 60s. We're not even halfway there. Oh, that's brain damage. Everybody with me? Now, here's the big kicker, and this should scare the bejeebies out of everybody, and you get the religion. You get gospel of brain health. I'm going to work in a safe environment. Okay? I'm not going to have this karma coming back at me. Now, these are nuclear brain scans. Let me tell you, if you could damage your short-term memory, which we've all done, you could damage the rest of your brain. This is how most of us get our brain/mental disorders. Mine came from years of abuse, ever since I was little. My son was born that way. You can rewire the brain, and I don't care what the condition is. Now, the scan on the far left, your far left, is a normal, healthy brain. This is a nuclear brain scan, okay? SPECT scan. This is not an MRI. An MRI is an X-ray on steroids. I mean, really souped up. An X-ray is a structural exam. So if a football player has a concussion, they're going to go give that football player an MRI, and it's going to look for bleeds and tears and clots. An MRI looks the same on a live person as a dead one. This is very different. And I've had 2 of these. My son's had 3 of them. They inject you with a radioactive isotope called Ceratec. Ceratec goes to your brain and makes it glow. You can watch you think. You're looking at live human tissue think. Now, I got to teach this to shop floor workers, a lot of them who can't read or write. Piece of cake. Don't think neurology is difficult. It's easy. Your brain works like a car engine. Okay? Do you want your car engine to run cool? Yeah, but you want it to spark, like the spark plugs in a couple of places. So you want a couple of places where it burns hot. So look at the brain on the far left. Okay? Now this is you with a normal brain laying down. There's the base of your skull. Okay, right there. There's the base of your skull. And we're looking through the bottom of your chin, up through your chin to the underside of your brain, and that's your forehead at the top. You're looking up at the ceiling. Is everybody with me? Okay, look how nice and blue that is. Everything in red is burning 15% hotter. Now, 15% hotter is a lot, isn't it? I mean, what would happen if your body temperature went up by just 10%? Well, we call that dead, okay? You wouldn't survive that, all right? Now, having just said that, which brain would you rather have, the one on the right or the one on the left? Oh, you want the one on the left is nice, normal brain. The one on the right is me. 2008. That is what my wife called nuts. And that is burned to a crisp. So let's see what we got here. First of all, that's a little burning of the limbic system. That's a little touch of depression. That's normal. This is a 45-year-old guy. He's burned his brain just through normal life. Okay? 45-year-old guys don't sit around and giggle all day, do they? Do 5-year-olds? Oh, they giggle all day long. You kick them around for 40 years. That's what happens. That's normal. Okay? Oh, and you see those guys? Apprehension. Okay. Do you ever wonder why humans don't trust? Because of Fred Flintstone. Right? Was it a good idea for Fred to see an animal that he didn't know, to go up and pet it? We did have humans that did that, and guess what? They ain't here. So you got these 2 little balls that glow down in your head. They're called your basal ganglias. That's your apprehension. Now think about it. Let's say that you go home and over the weekend you're going to drive to the grocery. And you're on a one-way street when you're leaving the grocery. Are you still going to look both ways? Yeah, see, there's a little voice, that's Fred Flintstone saying, it might not be safe, look both ways. Those are your basal ganglia. Okay, that's a normal, healthy brain. Now look at mine. Now look what it's supposed to be on the left, look at the right. I have burned my brain. Now understand, I'm not speaking mental health, everything. I'm talking, I have flooded my brain so badly that I have burned my limbic system to be like 10 to 15 times inflamed. That is clinical depression. Do you ever wonder why people with depression cut cutters? So they can feel something. They can feel something. They're anhedonistic. A hedonist is somebody who lives for pleasure. What's an anhedonist? Doesn't feel anything. Wants to feel pain. Saying feel something. Oh, and if somebody has depression, what goes with it? Depression and anxiety. There you go. Well, you see, I blew past anxiety. Oh, I wasn't messing around, man. I went right to panic attacks. Okay, anybody ever here see Ted Lasso? Those are panic attacks. Doesn't this make sense? Different parts of your brain do different things. If you damage those parts of the brain, that's the condition that you will have. Okay? Oh, and look at this baby at the top. Look at that. Anybody know somebody with obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD? Okay, so what's that? Well, you got this bridge that connects your left and right hemisphere. All right? It's called your corpus callosum. Just think of it as a bridge. So if you have a thought on the left side of your brain, it'll cross this bridge, and the thought is an electrical charge shooting back and forth. Now, think about horses. Horses do not have a connection between their two hemispheres. They don't have a corpus callosum. So if you cover up the left eye of a horse and get to know it, and then uncover that eye and cover up the right eye, that horse won't know who you are, because that has not transferred between the hemispheres. Well, we humans do have that. But think about it. Look, I have flooded my brain so badly, it's gone all the way up to the forehead. Oh, and mine's so bad, you see that little white dot in the middle? Red is 15% hotter, white is 20% hotter. Oh, it's enraged, okay? So a thought moves from your left side, goes over, hits that inflammation. And understand, it is literally inflamed. I'm not speaking figuratively. You've literally burned your brain. It's on fire. This is called your stick shift. The thought gets stuck. Can't get off it, can't get off it, can't get off it, can't get off it. How many people know somebody, they're mad about stuff that happened 20 years ago? Oh, yeah. You see something really cool is back here in the back is all white hot on the base of my skull right here. That's my long-term memory. I just naturally have a great long-term memory. Is that good? Not if I'm mad about stuff that happened 30 years ago. I'm still mad about it. Oh, see that diamond? That is a typical pattern of post-traumatic stress disorder. That is what our soldiers have, and 4 times as many of our soldiers are coming home killing themselves than got killed in the war. Think about that, folks. It's safer to send our soldiers into battle than it is for them to come and sit at home alone in the afternoon. Has anybody seen the figures for suicide in this country? Oh, it's through the roof. We're setting records. It's horrible. Now, that's my brain in 2008, and I got religion. Oh, no, this is how I'm going to live. I fired clients. You know why? Because you're not worth it. You're not worth the cortisol and adrenaline. And that's my brain in 2020. Okay? The OCD is completely cured. All the hot spots in my temporal lobes are gone. My basal ganglia are getting back down to apprehension. I can live a normal life. Let me tell you right now, folks, if I had not learned this stuff, I would have killed myself years ago. I thought it was normal to talk yourself into not killing yourself every day. Everybody does that, right? First thing you think about when you go to bed is, I hope I die. And I'm going to try this stuff tomorrow, and if that doesn't work, then I'll kill myself. Because if you kill yourself, you can't try something. That's not normal, is it? You got a damaged brain. Damaged brain. Now, if you go up to your employees that you know are having trouble, aren't they going to say, I'm good. Hey, how you doing? I'm good. I'm fine. Isn't that what they say? They're not fine. They're not fine. It's not a flesh wound. And I'll tell you, one of the worst things that ever happens is I get a call to go someplace. I was in Santa Monica just last month, and doing this training for all the employees, tolerance, building a safe environment, brain health, because they had a suicide. Nothing I can do for that person now. There's a lot I could have done for that person if I'd have been there earlier. Everybody with me? It's not rocket science, is it? You see, we couldn't have had this discussion 25 years ago. And today, if I do this talk to a group of neuroscientists, not neurologists, but neuroscientists, they'd be bored to death. This is old stuff. But it's amazing. This stuff does not get out to the people. And you see the tie-in to your diversity. Should you have an environment where people pick on someone because they're Jewish? Because they're Palestinian? Because they're white? No. Because look what it's going to do to you. Now, you feed your brain, how does it rewire? I think if people understand how your brain works, they'll do it. And you say, oh, this is good for my brain. So that is a human thought. Actually, that's two human thoughts. You get a little electrical charge, see the white electrical charge on one end, and a little bit of yellow goo, that's neurotransmitter. And that neurotransmitter shoots them back and forth between the two neurons. Now, this is pretty amazing. There are trillions of connections in your brain, and nothing touches. That's a synapse. So, here's the good news. Every month, and we didn't know this before either, you have baby stem cells in your brain right now. And right up until you die, you grow about 100,000 new brain cells every month. Now, look at the brain cell on the far left. See how long and skinny it is? So you're going to fire and fire and fire. It was just born this month. It's long and skinny. Now, if you put an electrical charge in soft room temperature butter, that butter is going to melt, isn't it? Did anybody ever tell you that learning is melting your brain? That is exactly what it is. Look at the graphic in the middle. You see how it's getting whiter? It's getting fatter. It's melting. So it's got more surface area. That means you're getting better at something. You're building a habit. And look at the little sprout up there. You keep firing and firing and firing and firing. You're going to overload that circuit. So guess what? You're going to grow a sprout. Growing new brain cells is called neurogenesis. Growing sprouts is called synaptogenesis. You don't need to know that. You just need to know, I'm going to grow 100,000 new cells in my brain, and I got to work my brain. How do you don't work your brain? You watch TV. You lay on the couch and drink a beer. You don't do anything. Okay? How many people like to engage in new activities? Okay. How many people like to go to work and be challenged? Every day, let me clue you in here, folks. Every day you go to work, it should be therapy. It should be therapy. Because you get to learn new stuff. You get to meet people it's safe to disagree with them. And look what you're doing on the far graphic. You're growing all these new connections. That is how your brain rewires. You've all done this, and you might not have known it. You've all done it, and you felt it. How many people drive to work every day, and you don't have a clue how you got there? You get in the car, you take a nap, and next thing you know, you wake up, and there you are. Right? How many people you get in the car and start to drive to work on the weekend? Yeah, that's what we call a habit. Okay, so now this is just a very general graphic, but see the little red dot up there? That's a human thought right there. That's a little bit of neurons firing, and guess what? We're gonna transfer you to a new location 5 miles in the opposite direction. Well, now you got to think. You might even have to set your GPS to where am I going? Don't know where I'm going. I got to stay awake. Might even get some coffee to stay awake. So the first day, that's your thought. Guess what? Second day, boom, another thought. And then boom, another thought. And then boom, another thought, and boom, and one day you got yourself a habit. Habits form in 2 or 3 weeks, and you're rewiring your brain. You've all done that, haven't you? Why don't we do that with the damaged areas in our brain? And I'll tell you, I do not begrudge anybody on psychiatric medications. I applaud that you're trying to get help. That's fantastic. But why don't you make sure that you're taking care of your brain to get it better? These are some of the studies that are coming out. And I can tell you, we are in the most exciting period that I've ever seen for neuroscience and brain health. And this is right from Harvard Business Review. If you go to work with good people, where you've got good teamwork and you're being challenged, that is therapy. That is therapy. It should be good for your brain. You see how we want to change our work environments from ones that are toxic to one where you get all these eustress chemicals. Eustress chemicals. Oxytocin is the happiness chemical. It makes you happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? Dopamine. Dopamine is the motivation drug. And when you hang around good people, you get all of these. Serotonin directly combats depression. Endorphins kill pain, and you're going to love telomerase. Telomerase is this little bit of goo you secrete in your body, and it goes to your chromosomes, surrounds the strands of DNA, and keeps them from aging. Not just keeps them from aging, makes them grow longer. You're getting younger. How many people have ever heard your biological age is not your chronological age? Betty White. Betty White, absolutely. Her brain, I would have loved to have scanned her brain. Her body was shot. And that's what's going to, I got news for you. How many people know your body's just on its way downhill? Yeah. How many people, it's like, I might get that hip replaced next year, but I got my knees this year, so I mean, that's really what's coming. They wear out. Nothing in your brain moves. You hear me? Nothing in your brain moves. It should never wear out, okay? If you had a heart attack, would you take the pills your cardiologist gives you? Oh yeah, we're great at taking pills. But what else would the cardiologist tell you to do to take care of your heart? What would he tell you? Relax, get that chronic distress out. What else would she tell you? Exercise, absolutely. Hey, I'm a towering 5'6" and shrinking. Oh, who's experienced that? You're getting shorter. Oh my gosh, that's the most, and I started off at 5'7". It's not like I got a lot of room to move, okay? So, one day I'm going to be like this tall, but my arms are going to be the same length, okay? So that's what happens, People put drinks on my head. I'll tell you, I'm going to get out and exercise. I've got a basketball court in my backyard. I don't care. I have fun. Okay? The same thing is with your brain. It burns me. It angers me that I run into so many people I'm coaching and I'm trying to help them because they are, quote, quote, problem children at work. And they're all brain damaged. They're all brain damaged. That's why people are problem people. They've got brain damage. So we got to start talking about their diet. We got to start talking about their exercise. We got to start talking about the jackasses in their life. We got to get a pet. Got to get a cat. Got to get a dog. Oh, you want to start healing your brain right now? Right now. You got to drink half your weight in ounces in water every day. 20%, 25% of everything you eat or drink goes right to your brain. Flush it. You flush your brain. But we don't talk to people about taking their medication. What do? Or about their physical condition. Take these pills and they keep living the way that they have lived. And even if the pills do work, 4, 5, 6 years later, they will not, because you keep damaging your brain until one day it's irreparable. What's that mean, irreparable? It means you've done so much damage you don't have that many years left. Now, have I got your attention? Does it sound like we get the buy-in of white males because they don't want to go crazy? Oh, yeah, now I'll tell you something else too. If you smoked for 40 years, would you be surprised if you got lung cancer? No, you kind of asked for it, didn't you? Okay. Guess what we've discovered in just the last few years? That massive amount of cortisol, cortisol causes Alzheimer's cells to grow. You hear me? They plant Alzheimer's cells in your brain. You will have Alzheimer's. You work with jackasses for 20, 30, 40 years, you will develop Alzheimer's. It's going to be in your brain. The only question is, are you going to die of something else first before the Alzheimer's takes root? I'll tell you right now, it's one thing to have depression, PTSD. How many people know somebody with Alzheimer's? You know, Alzheimer's is expected to triple in the next 20 years. Who in here plans on retiring in the next 20 years? That's us. Oh, I can tell you right now, I'm building as many brain cells as I can because I don't want anything to do with that. I am not going to deal with Alzheimer's. And I can tell you right now, try to get somebody into an Alzheimer's care unit is almost impossible. They're full. Do you think employees know that they're destroying their brains every day? You teach them. Do I want a safe environment? Yeah, because it's good for me. And I'll tell you, you want the brain on the left. Or on your right. The one on the left is bad. And your biggest threat are people. Now, here's Johnny Taylor. And I tell you, I just love this book. Our DE&I must focus on more than race or religion. More. Focus on everybody being human. That we don't do that enough. Race, religion, and age, are those important? Yeah, but that shouldn't be the only part. We should have diversity of ideas. We've got to acknowledge how inclusion and diversity benefits everyone, not just people on the minority. This drives me crazy. Who's ever heard, well, I'm an ally. I'm an ally. I don't like that. You know why? What do you mean an ally? That makes it sound like it doesn't apply to me. It does apply to me. It makes it sound like I don't have an interest in you bullying somebody who's LGBTQ. It makes it sound like I don't have an interest, a stake in you picking on somebody who's female. Oh, if I see somebody being harassed, is that going to make my gut churn? That's going to affect me. I think he's got it right on the head here. Now, think about this. I want safe environments. And I tell you right now, when I go in, I am told point blank by a lot of my clients, don't even use the word diversity. It's taken on a toxic type of ring with some people. I'm like, hey, you can call it whatever you want. I like, hey, let's call it a safe environment. Look at all these programs. How many people have done your bullying and harassment training? Yeah, you really need to do that, okay? How many people have a DE&I or tolerance program? Okay. How many people do management training? They all need brain health. Why is management training? I start all my management training sessions by showing brain health. Why? Because it's your job as a manager to create safe environments, and if you do not do that, this is what's going to happen to you. Okay? So we want to make sure that's in there. And look at I'll tell you, this is a gift to you for DE&I. The EEOC in 2016 came out with its new guidelines for what should be, no, not what should be, what needs to be in your harassment training. If these aspects are not in your training, you are not in compliance. Now you kind of feel your DE&I folding into your harassment and bullying? Tolerance. Tolerance is a legal term, okay? Actually required by the United States Supreme Court now and the EEOC. Conflict resolution. You got to define bullying. You've got to have social media and bystander intervention. It's important that people speak up because they've got a stake, okay? How many people have safety programs in place? Wellness, workplace violence. Oh, 77% of all of your employees demand wellness. Oh my gosh. So I put together a list here that's going to be in your packet. If you get your card in the buckets, the Superman and everything, I'll make sure that we send the slides to you and descriptions of all the different things that Michael and I did to rewire our brain. You might not like to do the same thing, but the idea remains the same. Tie all of your Hey, I can cut a DE&I program. I can't cut my safety program. I can't cut all those programs. Why do companies cut their programs, their DE&I? Because they don't value it, and it's a separate program. They should all be part of your culture. Make sense? Questions, comments, that's a lot of stuff. Is everybody's brain full? I fill up your hippocampus? Okay, questions, comments, deep religious concerns? Did everybody get her? Yeah, it's too much after that. Okay, well, I'll turn it back over to Valerie. They are all, Victoria, I'm sorry. Victoria, they will, let's turn it over to you, okay?
Thank you, everyone, for attending. Scott, you were phenomenal.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Fill out your reviews. There's a pin in it for you.
Well, that was my last comment. Please remember to complete the session survey on the app or on the virtual platform as we value your feedback. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the conference. And don't forget to leave your cards for Scott.
Yeah, if you want the extra materials, hey, drop them in there. We'll get them out to you. And everybody that won multiple pins or a pin, come up and grab your pins.